Hello and welcome to the MapMagic 2 tutorial. This video is devoted to the functions node that comes with the Biomes module. Functions are the biome nodes that have their own inputs and outputs. Imagine using a portal right into the biome subgraph and the portal out. And that is what the basic function is. This way you can reuse some common elements in all of your graphs, bringing them into a separate graph. Tuning and enhancing it will automatically enhance all of the graphs where this function is used. To show you how it all works, I will be changing the demo graphs that come with the MapMagic 2 core and biomes assets. To avoid permanent changes, I will copy the demo graphs folder and will be working with it only. Then I will open up a tutorial scene, select the MapMagic object, and assign the copied simple graph in MapMagic's graph slot. This will make MapMagic to generate, but it will produce the same result since the graphs are equal. I will open up the simple graph by double-clicking on it. Then I deselect it in the inspector just to avoid performance overhead on serialization. You can see that the simple graph is split in two groups. The first one is devoted to the terrain height, while the other one makes all of the texturing work. If you switch between the other demo graphs, you can see that the texturing part is about the same in some of them. So, why can't we reuse this graph code in the other biomes? I'm selecting all of the nodes I want to bring out to the function. I'm doing this with the Shift left mouse drag. Then I right-click on any of the selected nodes and choose Graph, Export, and select a path. This will create a new graph with only the selected nodes in it. I will open up the exported graph to see what's inside. Here you can see two regular portals, one for the height input and one for the grass output. They won't work since they are disconnected from the original graph. Now I will replace them with the function enter and exit instead. Now I'm creating the function enter by right-clicking on an empty place and selecting Create, Map, Function, Enter. I can name it any way I like, but in this case I will call it text height, just to distinguish it from the other height portals. Then I connect it to the same nodes the portal was connected. And then I remove the original portal. Then I will replace the grass portal with the function exit. I create the function exit, name it grass, and remove the portal. And I will remove the grass output too, since it's unnecessary here. This function is devoted to texturing, so we will be using only what is related with texturing here. No need to change anything with the generated result now. So we've got a nicely looking function that will receive the terrain heights, process them, and output to the terrain layers, and return the map to plain grass. Let's return to the simple graph and remove the texture generators here. Note that I'm using the graph copy that I've made in the beginning. And the portal too. I will leave only the grass output, since it's not included in the function. Now we'll create a function and assign the texturing graph we've created in a function slot. You can see it's got an inlet, named the same way we've named the function enter, text height, and an outlet, named grass, the same as the function exit. Now we'll connect the height inlet to the node that generates height, and an outlet to the grass output. Here you can see it generates the same result as if it all was made in a single graph. For example, we can open up the Badlands graph, remove all of the texturing nodes here, but leave the grass output. And then we can add a function here. I'm doing the same I've done for the simple graph. Create a function, assign a graph, and connect its inlet and outlet. Let's see what we've got by assigning the Badlands graph to the MapMagic object. Here you can see the Badlands graph. I can even see dunes on it. But it is textured exactly the same way as it was our first simple graph. Let's do the same for the snow plains. I open up the snow plains and remove all of the texture nodes. Luckily, there's no grass on it. Then I add a function, assign a graph, and connect it. And then I select MapMagic and assign a graph here. You can see the snow plains now are green grassy hills. Let me show you it's still the shape of the snow plains. It is just texturing that is changed. I open up the original graphs folder and assign the original snow plains to the MapMagic graph slot. Here it is covered with the snow, and here the grass. And the same for the Badlands. Here they're sandy, and here they're grassy. The most wonderful thing of the functions is that it is not just a graph statically copied as the part of the other graph, but it's the live instance of the function graph, and if we will change, enhance or modify it, all of our biomes will change too. Here, for instance, I'd like to modify the sediment textures. I increase its value. Now I'd like to see that it is increased in all of the other graphs. However, I don't like it this way, so I will return it back to normal. Function node works similarly to the functions or methods in code. And if you're experienced in coding, you might think if there is a way to pass an argument when calling a function. For example, to generate a function with a different noise value in each of the function instances. Or, such in this case, if there is a way to generate the Badlands with the sand, demograph with the grass, and frozen plains with snow. Just change the textures, but use the same algorithms. And actually, there is a way to do this, with the help of the expose and override features. Let's go back to our green Badlands biome. We've got our texturing function opened. Here you can see the grass terrain layer value, the one where the layer asset is assigned. Let's right-click on it and select Value, Expose. In a window opened, we type the variable name. Let it be the green grass. And then click OK. Let's select the graph in the inspector and open up the exposed rollout. Here you can see our green grass property exposed. This is the same value as the one in the graph. And if we change it here, it will make the terrain generate. It will be changed in an inspector. And the same is vice versa. We can change the value here even without opening the graph editor. Now let's look at the Badlands biome. Here you can still see the green grass exposed, and still, if we change the value here, it will be changed in the inner graph. See me assigning dirt here. Enter the function graph, and still it's dirt layer in this slot. But everything changes when I turn on the override exposed value. This way the function node will store this value itself, not in the internal graph. And if I change the value here, it will be overridden. But the internal graph will keep the original value. Let me assign the gravel here. Enter the function, and see the grass is still in the slot, and it's still green. While in the upper graph the value is gravel, and it generates the gravel on the terrain. Now let's expose all of the other texture layers. This will be the bright cliff. This one is the dark cliff. And this is the sediment. . Now when we raise up level, we can see more values exposed. And for the Badlands, let's assign the proper texture layers here. You can see that now it looks more like a Badlands biome. And what about the original demo graph? If we assign it to the MapMagic object, we can see that it's still green. And if we open up the graph, we can see the original grass values here. Note that the expose overriding feature doesn't come for free. It has some overhead and slows down the performance a bit, so consider using it only when it's necessary. This overhead amount is the same for the draft and for the main tile, and slightly depends on an inner graph complexity. With the help of the functions we can convert the whole graphs into a single node. For example, here's the graph that could be converted. It's called Dunes. Here I'm removing all of its outputs and creating a function exit instead. And then I'll open up the Badlands node. I will assign it to the MapMagic object, by the way. Here you can see the block devoted to the Dunes creation. Actually, it's the whole Dunes graph inserted here. I'll remove it and replace with a need function instead. And you can see it's still creating dunes. You can create functions for objects and splines as well. You can find a function portal like this in each category. Map, object, spline. And if I create a spline function exit, it will create a spline outlet, similarly to the map outlet we've created. Functions are the powerful tool to organize and reuse your graphs. You can find it in Biomes and Functions module for the MapMagic. It provides a convenient way to enhance and modify your graphs. You can even use them as placeholders. So hope you will like this feature. Feel free to experiment with it, create functions and expose values. Just remember to make the backup copies of the graphs you are going to change. See you in next videos. Bye!